folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. I'm shooting the intro down here in the trees today. My bees have been a little grumpy lately. They got a lot of headhunters floating around out there. Since I split hive number 9, they've been a little bit on the grumpy side. So hive 9, I've done a couple videos on that. Had a lot of swarm cells in there. It was a super strong hive. It's got one honey super completely full, and then I put a deep on there for a super because I ran out of supers and they're doing pretty good on that deep, getting that thing filled up. So I pulled 3 splits off of that the other day, and I didn't video that. I had to get it done. But also down here in this area, it's in the shade, it's quiet, got the wind in the trees, and I can see clear across our property from corner to corner. And I can smell the beehives. The wind's out of the north today, and I can smell the beehives, and there's some privet down there blooming. I can smell that. I hear birds, and got some hooty owls going back over this way. I could sit here for hours and just stare at the bees going in and out of the hives and listen to that. So, well, enough of that. So, this video, so the last one I shot, it was an on-the-spot queen rearing on a Hive 13, and I got some feedback on that some other folks out there say you should notch your hives on a few days old larvae and not eggs, and I did eggs. I learned the egg part from a beekeeper here in Oklahoma, and he used to put out a few videos, and I really enjoyed watching him at that time. And he got kind of big in his business, and he got to doing that a lot. So, and he got to selling some other beekeeping products that had to do with like the sounds coming out of the hives and stuff, and I wasn't into that much. So I haven't watched him, and I don't think he puts out many videos anymore, but the ones he did, they're really good. So you might check out Little Creek Bee Ranch, Ken Davis. And he does a lot of essential oil type things where he doesn't use chemicals, but he'll use essential oils. And I did some of that at first. I don't do so much now. But he makes these little paste that you put along your frames to keep the hive beetles out of there. And it also works on varroa mites. I think it had spearmint oil and all kinds of oils. And he shows you how to mix it up on there. It's really interesting stuff. So check him out. That's where I learned this on-the-spot queen rearing. And he teaches classes too, but I haven't been to any of his classes. I just watched a few of his videos. So with that said, let's get into this Hive 13. And I want to follow up on that and see how that on-the-spot queen rearing worked. And it may not have worked at all. There may have been a queen in there, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't. They were acting really queenless. And when I say they were acting queenless, they just they act like there's no order to the hive. They just kind of do random things. They'll go over here and fan, and they run around, and it's like it's chaos inside there. And that's kind of how you tell. And in a bigger hive, that's a pretty small one, they'll be really grumpy, and they'll come at you. So let's see, that was May 8th, and today is the 17th. So they should have had plenty of time to pull those down. They may even be capped by now. So also, the hive next to it, I didn't find a queen, and they seemed okay, like they weren't queenless. And I'm going to do a quick check on it and see if we can find that queen in there. So let's get in hives 12, check for the queen, and then we'll get in 13 and check the on-the-spot queen rearing and see how that worked out. One of those notches had 2 eggs and a larva to the right, a very young larva. So that might tell us, if they pulled down off the right, that they do prefer to pull those down off a larva and not use the young eggs. So that was, if I remember right, I notched it in 3 places. So the bottom right notch is where that was. So let's quit yapping and let's get in there. Okay, here's our 3 hives. So hive 11. So we know we've got a queen in here. She looked mated. I'm not going to mess with it. This is the one. I didn't find the queen, but they didn't act queenless. And then the on the spot rearing is right here. So we'll run through this one real quick. I won't spend a lot of time. I'll time lapse this to see if we find this queen or not, and I won't talk a lot. You're welcome. And then we'll get over here to the on the spot queen rearing. These bees are still very calm. May just be their genetics. Nectar frame. So here's a whole frame of capped brood and uncapped larvae. So I don't remember seeing that last time. That looks like a queen right hive. Man, look at that. I'll go a couple more frames in here and see what we find. But that's not from the old queen. I thought when I went through this hive before, they seemed awful calm to be queenless. Yeah, so this is all new laid brood right here. It's started in the middle, worked her way out. She is loading it up. I'm surprised I didn't see her on that frame, or on this side. But she's on this frame right here. She is one elusive queen. She's gonna make a liar out of me. Well, so this is all full of very young larvae right there. And this is too. This is totally laid up. So 3 frames in a row. I just missed her last time. Or she was out on a mating flight, but to have that much brood laid since then, she had already been mated, I would think. So she's laid all the way up to the other side of this frame, and she hasn't made it to this side yet, but it's ready for her. Oh, there she is. She's kind of got the tiger tail. So those, to me, I have a hard time spotting those. They blend in so well. I'm gonna go ahead and mark her. Try to. Okay, we got her captured in our one-handed queen catcher. So I've got her there in the shade. You don't want to leave your queen sitting out in the sun, especially on a hot day. So we'll just let her sit there until that dries, and then we'll release her right back down where she came from, right on the same frame. That's the first queen marked of 2020. First 2020 queen. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. It's about time I get all this put back together. She should be good to go. She's kind of got her head through that hole. She needs to back out of there. There she goes. In she goes. Right down there. Man, that was fantastic. So one thing I had to learn beekeeping was patience. Early on I would have thought, oh my gosh, this hive is queenless and I'm going to lose it. Back then I only had 2-3 hives and I'd always get really worried. So the old me would have been ordering a queen. And then I would have got a queen and went to put her in there and I would have found that. Or I'd have tried to put her in there and they wouldn't accept her. I've done all those things. Patience. The bees had it under control. All right. You know, I've got a honey super that's not being, not much done with it. This thing's fixing to start busting it, and I might move a super over here on this. See what we've got available. It's mid-May, so we're right in the middle of the nectar flow. In fact, it'll probably start tapering off, getting towards June. Let's get over here and see what this on-the-spot queen rearing thing turned out. Still got a decent amount of bees in here, but not very many. These bees are all really old because they haven't had a queen for a long time. Okay, so coming out of winter, this hive was strong and it had a lot of honey in it left. So I supered it up in the spring and they weren't touching the super, and I got in there and I got to looking and I found the queen, and I had marked her blue because that's the only color I had in my pocket at the time, which that's 3 years old for now. This is the right year for blue. But anyway, I knew that she was an older queen and I made a note, hey, this is probably going to supersede or needs requeened. And they just started dwindling down and down, and I finally wound up taking the top deep off and reduced them down to this single. And then the queen disappeared, right? And there was a supersedure cell, and the next time I came in, that supersedure cell was gone. I couldn't tell if it was open or what, and they were acting queenless. So, is it going to be like that one and they had a queen and I didn't know it, or did they pull out these on-the-spot notches that I did? All right, I'll be quiet now. Let's find out. It's closer to this side, so I'm going to start on frame 10 and work my way back. Lots of bee bread. I know the shadows are bad. I'll try and get a good close-up of this when I get there. I'm not even going to look at those frames. I guess I could have moved all 3 of those at the same time. Didn't think about that till later. Okay, here we go. Drum roll. Boom. We've got queen cells. So if I remember right, I notched here, somewhere up in here, and right there. There we go. Get this camera over here out of the sunlight so we can see what's going on. Okay, we got us one right there, not capped off yet. That's on the bottom. I don't remember notching right there. I distinctly remember notching here. Come on, there we go. So you can't really tell. So they pulled one. I remember this spot. There were 2 eggs on the left and a larva on the right. So which one did they use? And we got 2 here. I think they did those on their own, because I notched, I think up here, let's see, down here, up here, and over here. I'll try and go back and do a comparison. So we've got us 1, 2, 3 queen cells. They didn't do anything with the ones over here that I notched. Right there's where that was. They didn't use that, but they pulled one right here, and they pulled another one right there. And they made one, that one that's not done yet, right there. So there's 4. 3 capped and 1 uncapped. Okay, so that was a success so far. We still got to get a queen out of here and mated and back. So by the time this queen, one of those queens, is mated and returns, 2 weeks to start, well, so say that's going to be another week before they emerge, another 7 days, I'd guess, 5, 6, 7 days. And it's going to be another 2 weeks before they lay. So we're talking, we're into June now. The nectar flow is pretty much kind of gone down. So any forage they get is going to be throughout the summer, which is like low. And they're going to be competing with 29 other hives for what's around in this location. So this little hive is going to struggle building up and getting stores for winter. So we're going to have to help them out. We're going to have to give them some, maybe some of their original honey frames that I took out and moved over there to number 9 and banked them in that big deep over there above the excluder. So just because we've got cells, we've got a long ways to go on this little hive here. We'll check back in. We'll give them another week and see if we find a virgin queen in here. So we'll let those 4 queens just fight it out. I'm not going to try and pick which one they should use and all that. I'm going to let nature take its course right here. So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you would. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe. And if you like my intros, check out my Game Cam Wildlife Recon channel with the game cameras. It's pretty cool. We'll catch you all on the next video. Take care.